Well, hello everybody. This is my, compilation video of making this chair um, and all the jigs and fixtures and approach that I did to do it. So it's going to be my longest video. So hi to all my hundreds of YouTube followers. And here is the chair. I'm just going to back up a bit. And you can kind of see what it looks like. It's an Art Deco style armchair. And from the front, we have this look to it. So it's pretty elaborate. The crest rail, the top rail and arm, is extraordinarily difficult to build. And I'm going to just chronicle the jigs that I use to do that now. You know, first thing you have to do, I've laid out all the jigs, so you'll see these in a sec. First thing you have to do is you have to get this, there we go. You have to get the plan, this is the plan template in 2 dimensions, the elevation template also in 2 dimensions. And of course these angles here and these pieces are, it's basically when you have the milled dimension lumber and really the whole point is trying to get these angles exactly correct. The compound angles are really just trial and error. I've set my miter gauge here and I've not moved it since I did this, months ago. This has taken a long time to do. So crest rail was the first thing I did. After getting the pieces cut with the right angle, we go into this jig, or a couple of jigs here. These are universal, so they work from right or left. And this holds the leg in the correct orientation when it's being glued. I have obviously glue blocks. And I made a couple of mistakes with the glue blocks. They really are important to get them exactly right. In line, so the pressure is going right across the joint, not where the slip tenon goes. Once you get these glued up together, you end up having boards that fit in these right and left, or starboard and port. I like to use that terminology. And then you can start to do some of the shaping. And it's the shaping of the curves. So this curve here is what's important. And then this curve here for the top profiles is what's important. This is done on a rudder jig. I have my rudder sled way up there. You probably can't see it. Maybe I can zoom in a bit. There we go. That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's against the wall there. I'm not going to get it out. Anyways, that rudder jig, or rudder sled, with my large Makita rudder, is how I shape the inside and the top shape. A little bit of a trickery in doing that. So I'm going to go over here now. It's not like a straight rudder sled. You have to put these curved, I don't know what you call them, things that slide up and down the curve shape. And I have 2 shapes. I have an elevation shape and a profile shape. The profile is a tighter radius, as you can see here. These clamp onto the rudder sled so it can slide up and down that angle. I didn't really make a video of that, but I will make a video of that when I'm working on the next crest rail. So this is pretty involved. Originally I was going to do these on the bandsaw, my big bandsaw there, the 18-incher. I don't think it's safe because the blade is engaging the wood well above the table, and the tendency is for it to twist. So it was a bit of a shocker, and I was quite disappointed about this, but I don't believe it's safe. I think you really do need the rudder. And now, after I get that shaped, my next thing was to build this form. It looks pretty bizarre. This is just nailed together or screwed together, but what this does is it holds the outer shape. So this curve here is the outer shape of the crest rail, held at the right angle. It's screwed in strategically, so you will never see the screw holes. from underneath. And then I can do that on the bandsaw. And I just put an extension table on my big bandsaw to support it. So I'm on the outside. Obviously, it's an 18-inch bandsaw. This wouldn't fit inside the blade to the column. And I am able to cut that safely on the bandsaw with a, I think it's a 3 or 4 TPI skip tooth blade. Once you get that cut, now you have to think about, well, I've got to do joinery. I've got to connect the crest rail to the legs. I also have to make a groove for the curved plywood. This chair has solid plywood, bent plywood, which I'm going to get to in a second. And how I did this is I created this jig eye. And what this does is when you put the chair leg, the crest rail inside here, clamp it down, and it's suspended here, you're able, this is actually upside down, you work to create the groove following this profile. And because this is the actual plan view curve, and the crest rail is at the right angle that it will ultimately be when it's attached to the legs, you're able to use this tool, which is a scratch stock, but the scratch stock follows this curve. And that way you get an angled curve, angled dado, into the bottom of the back of the crest rail. And I found with the sides of the crest rail, I could do it with a regular scratch stock and a router. You have to be careful because the curve profile is changing. The angle is not a semicircular. It's a sort of an ellipse shape. So normal fence will not work because the radius is changing. You need to use like a point fence or a scratch shot, which is essentially that. If you think about it, that's right. Sorry, the point, the thing that this rides on, where it'll touch the wood, is right there. That's like a point fence. All right, now that you've got that profile done, you also need to think about, and this is a little out of order, I just realized, but I have to join, before I create this, I use this jig here, I actually have to join the crest rail, the mating pieces. I've already built, this part is already mated on both the right and the left. Now I've got to join this piece in the center. And how I do that is with this jig over here. And at the same time, I'm joining, so this is, now again, this jig is, this fixture, whatever, is actually upside down. You have to imagine the crest rail is fitting inside here. It's clamped down. There's clamping pieces right here and right here, here and here. What I do is I first of all make the, it's a slip tapered tenon. Here it is. You can see a slight 3-degree taper. This is what joins or mates the two pieces. When that's done, I use these guides to attach where the back legs go. I tried a number of different things, but what I'm going to go with is these, I guess they're 1/2-inch dowels. So these are inserts that fit in here. And I drill the holes, of course, with my fantastic, what's it called? Milescraft drill jig. It's not really that great, but it works. And then, of course, I have to do the slip or the mortises for the underneath, for the front, for attaching the front of the crest rail to the front legs. And that's what those holes are for. Now we're just getting started here. Other things you got to do is the apron. Here is some apron jigs. This is obviously half the apron. There's some angle instructions here. This is the actual front of the apron, as you can see. So, interesting stuff happens there. The front, well, I'm going to talk about the back legs. The back legs are rather tricky. This one on the right is actually the one that I'm going to go with. It's a little bit blocky. I'm going to do final shaping after the leg is attached. This is my original. What you have to do is you have to get this leg to attach to the apron at the back. And I did what I'm calling a Sam Malouf joint. So I have a jig that I can use. I attach this to the apron and I can route it out. Actually, this is the one that you're right, it attaches to the apron. I guess about apron wrong. And then this is attaches to the legs. Yeah, so this is the leg. And you end up getting this type of joint. I'm not going to take it apart, but you can kind of see how it fits together. Works, it's really solid. And I shaped the leg, back leg with this jig here, the front edge and the back edge. The front legs are, you know, they're almost simple compared to all this other stuff. It's just this design here. I actually tried a number of things, including a turned leg. I call it the Battersea. Oh, you know what I got right here? This is actually the chimney of the Battersea power plant in London. I know I'm crazy. You can kind of see it. That was one design I had, but I don't like that as much. And then I tried a different type of. This is a real failure. It's not a good. And then so I'm going to stick with something like this. Of course, here's the. Can't think of what this calls here. The stick for the where the joinery goes. Now you have the chair. You know, the main parts of the chair now finished. What you also have are these backer boards. These are all. This is made out of about 16th inch, a little heavy 16th inch alder, bent in a form. I guess I'll go over and look at the form here for a sec. So I made these two forms. This is, of course, symmetric. So right and left, you know, just flip it over. Doesn't matter. This is the back form. That works great in the vacuum bag. Yeah, that's where the upholstery goes. So the upholstery is going to be tacked up along here and on the apron, actually. And this webbing here is, or this board, this brace board is used for the webbing, the side webbing. Ronnie is at Modern Upholstery. Here is the upholsterer. He's looked at this along with Warren, who works with him, to verify that this can be upholstered properly. And you can see things here. There's a couple of details here. This is the taper tenon, or taper, I guess it is, a taper slip tenon. These are, I have a double one here in the front and or in the back. I'm going to make adjustments. These are not really quite in the right place, in my opinion, but you learn these things. And then we get to making the curved side plywood. So here's a plywood back, which doesn't really fit, but it's an attempt. And yes, it says too tight. I made a mistake when I estimated the jig. I forgot about the fact that this is a compound angle. It's very hard to see, but it slips in here and goes like that. Of course, being a compound angle, the taper is actually, or the curvature is actually, the radius is actually larger than I calculated. But I can fix that by being a little bit sneaky. And here are the plywood forms. So this is the back form, the first one I built. A little bit too tight, but I can actually create a little bit more spring back by being sneaky with how I put the plywood together. And then you have the right and the left side forms. These are made out of old scraps of alder and red oak, and then 2 layers of this about 3/16 inch bendy plywood that I bought, PJ White. And these go in the vacuum bag. Curved plywood, it works great. See, what else do I want to cover? Oh, actually, I have an example here. This is a side piece. You can see how it's been veneered. It's a beautiful veneer, figured maple. I got that at Bacon Veneer in Calgary. And there's my attempt to. I had a little bit of a spring back problem. I've been working on that a little bit. I have the finish here. I'm thinking about the finish anyways. You can see the contrast. This is going to be what it looks like. It's going to be rather contrasting. That's too dark, I think, but I like that more of a natural. Put a little red in that, I think. So that is, well, it's a world record for me. I don't do these videos that long, but I want to memorialize everything. And, you know, I have some people who have looked at this, and I think they're interested in this. I'm now going to be making crest rail, probably going to do it out of poplar for another test. Obviously, this crest rail is kind of, you know, a little beat up. There's some tear out, and some angles of the mortises I don't really like. I'm gonna have to fiddle around with a bit more of those. When you make something like this is massively tough. I mean, this has taken a long time to do, but it's been kind of fun and challenging myself. One thing I should mention is fitting the sides. This looks ridiculous, but this is how I just cobbled together pieces of plywood to fit into the dados, and there's dados you can see in all around. That's how this is attached. Took a long time. It's trial and error. You know, one side is not going to be identical to the other. You just have to finesse things, right? It's not like building a kitchen. Okay. Well, I think that's really the most important part. So with that, I'm sign off. Bye for now.